Think I've been here before. I know that I must have met you in a past
Haruki and Renata. Tokyo Station, Japan. 1450. The briefing with the station master had just finished, and Haruki stepped into the station lobby, the hum of evening commuters a steady backdrop. His black uniform coat was pressed crisply, his trousers sharp, and his cap rested neatly above his brow. Two driver's bags accompanied him, one slung over his shoulder, the other gripped firmly in his right hand. Halfway to the platform, he crossed paths with a familiar face, James Suzuki, a linesman and one of his closest friends at the station. "Yamada-san, you're here. Isn't it your day off?" James asked, pausing mid-stride. His tone was curious but edged with that mild disbelief only coworkers could manage. Haruki returned the bow with a faint smile. "Suzuki-san, yes, but I'm covering for Sato-san." His voice was casual, unbothered. "Soka, I see." James nodded, patting Haruki lightly on the shoulder. "Well, my shift's over. I'm punching out." Haruki hummed in acknowledgement and continued toward the platform. James took no more than 4 steps before turning back. "Oh, hey, Yamada-san. Free up your weekend, alright? Let's drink with the guys." "Sure," Haruki replied without hesitation. The two men parted ways. At the platform, he set his bags down, report sheet in hand. Moments later, the sleek silver nose of the Shinkansen slid into view, the station's air shifting with the rush of displaced wind. The train slowed to a precise stop. From the driver's cockpit, the current operator stepped out, bags in each hand, posture as straight as the rails beneath them. He placed his bags on the opposite side of the platform, pulled a report sheet from one, then approached Haruki. They exchanged bows, salutes, and the brief handover of information. Another bow, another salute. Then Haruki picked up his bags and stepped into the cockpit. From the loudspeakers came the long tone of the railway announcement, followed by the announcer's clear voice. "Nozomi number 25 bound for Shin Osaka is now departing. Please stand clear of the closing doors. Arigato gozaimasu." The doors sealed with a final hiss. Beneath him, the ground trembled. The rumble deepened, and the Shinkansen surged forward. 10 hours later, the shift ended. Haruki drove himself home through quiet city streets, reaching his apartment complex around 2:30 a.m. Exhaustion hit like a wall. He took a warm shower, the steam blurring the edges of his reflection, and collapsed into bed. "I'm tired," he whispered to the empty room. "Let's call it a night." His eyes closed, and his body slipped down into sleep. Through the gauze of the dream, a shape began to rise, wavering, as if memory were taking on flesh. "Are you tired, my love?" The voice was soft and feminine, close enough that he could feel its warmth on his skin. He opened his eyes. It wasn't his room. Above him, bright obsidian eyes fixed on his with unblinking tenderness. Pink lips curved into a faint smile. Long, jet black hair spilled like silk over her face and shoulders. "Yes, this troubled world is so damn exhausting," he murmured, reaching up to run his fingers through her hair. "How can I ease your weariness, then?" she teased, playful yet unwavering in her gaze. He didn't answer with words. His hand slid to her neck, drawing her down. Their lips met in a kiss that deepened quickly, breathless, hungry. "You're sleeping with an enemy," he whispered hoarsely when they broke apart. "No, I'm not. I'm with the man I love," she countered, stubborn and sincere, her dark eyes locked with his. He sat up, pulling her onto his lap so she straddled him. His arms wrapped tight around her, holding her as though to protect her from the cold pressing at the windows. Their mouths met again, deeper this time, his hands moving along her back as her arms wound around his neck. The night outside was frigid, but the bed was anything but. They stayed entangled, warming each other until the first pale light crept past the blinds. The sunlight struck harshly against his face. Haruki woke alone in his apartment. It was nearly noon. Hunger won over sleep. In the kitchen, he gathered ingredients for curry rice, moving with the easy rhythm of someone who had made the dish countless times. Before long, the rich aroma filled the small apartment. The curry simmered low on the stove. Pouring himself a glass of water, he sat at the counter. His gaze drifted to the glass reflection, and in it, he saw her eyes again. Those obsidian eyes, that face, those lips, the fall of her hair, the warmth of her touch. "What's wrong with me?" he murmured. "What's with these dreams? This woman? I've never met her before, but she almost feels so real." His thoughts tangled. "It's like I've known her all my life. Then his nose caught it. Wait, what's burning? His eyes widened. Oh no, my beef curry. His voice echoed in the small space of his apartment. He bolted upright, rushing to the stove. Ah, shit, it's totally burnt. He stared into the pot as if looking down at a battlefield long after the fighting had stopped. The curry had blackened into a cracked, tar-like crust, clinging stubbornly to the steel like scorched earth. Wisps of smoke curled upward, ghostly remnants of a once promising meal, carrying the acrid scent of defeat. The sweet warmth of curry was still there, but warped, overpowered by the sharp, smoky tang of charred onions and burnt roux. It clung to the kitchen air like scorched paper, stinging the back of his throat. Somewhere else, some other lifetime, the kitchen tilted, blurred, the smell became cordite and dust. He closed his eyes. Daisuke, a soldier whispered, his breath brushing the ear of the petite woman cradled in his arms. I love you too. Her voice cracked halfway through the words. The corners of her bright obsidian eyes glistened, caught between love and sorrow too deep for language. He tilted down his head, pressing his lips to hers in a kiss that lingered, long and aching. His hands cupped her chin, pouring every unspoken word into that final touch. His chest burned, his heart tore. He wanted to keep this moment, to lock her kiss deep inside him and bind their souls for eternity. They sat together on the dusty floor, surrounded by splintered furniture, scattered debris, and the cold, unmoving bodies of those who hadn't survived. From outside, through the jagged wound of a broken wall, came the harrowing chorus of screams, gunfire, and explosions. The world beyond was a storm of carnage, the building, a fragile island in hell. I'm happy. I found you, she gasped, her tears spilling in hot, unrestrained streams. Each breath came shorter, shallower. It's just such a shame. We can't keep each other, in this lifetime. You're the only beauty in this hideous world. His voice trembled, each word fraying at the edges. I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you. His arms tightened, desperate to shield what little warmth he still felt in her fragile frame. Elsewhere in Tokyo, Renata's fingers twitched, as though she were clawing her way back to wakefulness. Beads of sweat broke across her forehead. In the half-light of the dream, she tried to move but couldn't. Her body was locked in place, as though bound with the woman in the soldier's arms. I wish we could be together in my next lifetime, the woman whispered, each syllable catching in the fragile air between them. See you again, love. Her hand slipped from his sleeve, leaving the fabric cold where her fingers had been. If there's another lifetime, his voice cracked, I'll find you, and keep you, for eternity. Mata ne. He rested his chin on her hair, drawing her closer, letting his tears fall soundlessly into the dark silk of her locks. Then, boom, a deafening blast ripped through the air, shaking the ground. A blazing tower of smoke and dust swallowed the sky. Hiroki's brows furrowed, his hands braced against the cold marble counter. The echo of the explosion still rang in his ears. He opened his eyes to his small kitchen. It had only been a dream haunting his nights, yet the sound reverberated so vividly it seemed to hang in the quiet air. The wave tore through her, violent and visible. It felt as if her bones splintered from the inside out. Renata jerked upright, her book toppled to the floor, landing open, pages splayed like a wounded bird. For a heartbeat, she just stared. The room blurred, then snapped back into focus. Her breath came in ragged bursts, sweat chilled her skin. She dragged a trembling palm down her face and felt it come away wet. Why am I crying again? The dream clung to her like smoke, heavy with dread and pain. On the floor, the fallen book lay open. Page 143 stared up at her. The battle for the liberation of Manila. She bent to pick it up. Her eyes skimmed the first lines almost without meaning to. The battle for the liberation of Manila, waged from February 3 to March 3, 1945, between Philippine and American forces, and the Imperial Japanese forces. 1608. Later that afternoon, Ueno Park breathed in soft pink and exhaled petals. Renata walked beneath the trees, fingers laced with Greg's. I'm ecstatic, she said, tilting her face up to the canopy. The blossoms mirrored in her dark eyes. Lucky it's summer break in Manila. Otherwise I'd be buried in lesson plans and faculty errands. They strolled down the main path where the air smelled faintly of sugar and wet earth. Ahead, the view opened into a sea of sakura swaying in the afternoon breeze. Renata's breath hitched. Wow. She slipped from Greg's hand and jogged ahead, skirts brushing her knees, until she stood under one of the grander trees. Petals clung to her hair like confetti. "They're so beautiful," she exclaimed, almost childlike, tilting her head back to take in every branch. A few benches away, Haruki, in a black track jacket, sat cooling off after his run, letting the scent of spring and the hush of petals falling around him fill his senses. A half-empty bottle of Bakari Sweat was loose in his hand. His gaze found her instantly. The park's chatter blurred, but she didn't. Her voice, her eyes, long straight hair flowing like black silk. A tourist, yes, but something about her tugged at him like déjà vu. Renata felt it, a weightless tug in the air. She turned, and their eyes met. Her breath caught. Something about him, that face. Those dark, gleaming eyes. It was like she'd seen him before. A strange pull bloomed in her chest as if memory itself had reached out and brushed her skin. She's staring at me, Haruki realized. Cute, beautiful. Where have I seen those dark obsidian eyes? The moment stretched too long. He blinked and looked away first, tipping the bottle back. His throat moved with the swallow. She realized she was watching and quickly turned back to the blossoms, cheeks warming. Greg reached her side, draping an arm over her shoulders. "They're beautiful," he said, eyes on the trees. Then, louder, "but no matter how beautiful they are, they can't compare to you." Renata gave him a small, grateful smile. The words carried, reaching Haruki's ears even though he hadn't meant to listen. A strange, unwelcome pang stirred in his chest. "Rina, Aishiteru," Greg said, deliberately slow. Renata's lips twitched. She laughed under her breath, embarrassed. "Sorry, I know it's supposed to be romantic. It just sounds funny when you say it." Before she could say more, another voice cut in, low, steady, and startlingly close. "Daisuke." All three turned. Haruki was already standing, hands at his sides, eyes unreadable. "That's how you say, 'I love you,' to someone in Japanese," he said, his voice even but edged with something he couldn't name. Without waiting for a reply, he started walking away, crushing the empty bottle in one hand and dropping it into a bin. "When did I get so nosy?" He scolded himself silently. Greg gave a small shrug, chuckling. "Well, maybe my Japanese is that bad, huh? But I know there's no mistake in my own language. I love you." "I know. Thank you. I love you too." Renata looped her arm through his, leaning up to kiss his cheek. Yet even as she smiled, the stranger's voice echoed in her mind. "Daisuke." She found herself glancing down the path he had taken. His silhouette moved steadily away, framed by drifting petals. A breeze rose, lifting strands of her hair across her face before she tucked them behind her ear. "Daisuke." The word warmed her in a way she couldn't explain. Greg's palm cupped her jaw, thumb grazing her skin as he gently drew her face back toward him. "Careful," he murmured, eyes flicking with playful mischief. Then, with a crooked grin, he added, "Don't let your eyes wander too far. I've already colonized your heart." He laughed at his own joke, but the word landed heavier than he'd meant. For a heartbeat, Renata's smile faltered, a faint chill threading the warmth between them, before she smoothed it away and looked back up at the blossoms. But the pink petals no longer held their softness. They flickered, paling, drifting downward like gray ash. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of smoke and scorched earth. Ueno Park tilted, the path wobbling beneath her feet. The gentle hush of spring turned to a low roar of chaos. The warmth of Greg's arm was gone, cold now, like concrete pressing beneath her fingers. "I'll find you, Matane." The voice cracked inside her, intimate yet agonizing, a promise her soul remembered. Her eyes burned. A strange pain rippled through her heart like shrapnel lodged beneath her chest. For a moment, she couldn't tell whether she was still in the park or in some other world entirely, a world of ash and shadows, where the ache was impossibly sharp and achingly familiar.
Tell me now you're the one.